So I'm sharing my presentation. Okay, there we go. Very well. So 2020 has been the black swan, an unexpected turn for our hotel industry that is putting each one of us through very challenging times, especially now that we are facing a second wave of the pandemic. Revenue management has probably been the discipline that has been more on probation, if you allow me the term, as many hotels all around the globe are questioning what's the worth of having revenue management on property right now, when there is actually no or little revenue to manage. And the hotels are opening and running with limited capacity. So most of the hotels are now running with half of their inventory. And the demand is uncertain, ever-changing, volatile. So also forecasting, which is one of the pillars where revenue management is based on, is very distorted, is very difficult to get, considering that trends are changing constantly. The segmentation, which was one of our pillars before COVID, is very limited, so we cannot rely anymore on the wide range of segments that we used to rely on in the past. And as such, the little demand that is out there causes a rate race to the bottom. We are seeing all around the globe that hotels are now fighting to try to steal market share from one another and using the rate of price drop as a strategy. This is, of course, heavily impacting on the flow through and the bottom line of the property that need to survive in order to get out of this crisis. So the question is, when revenue is actually about forecasting and optimization, do we really need revenue management right now? Now, when I think about revenue management, in my head, I picture this image. I see it like an iceberg, where you can see the biggest part of the iceberg, which is underwater, contains all the pillars of revenue management, all the basic elements that are at the fundamental of this discipline. While the part that is above water is the price, and this is the smallest part. Only if we work wisely and smartly on the fundamentals, we can get the correct pricing decision, which is what the customer sees. If we give up on revenue management, also in times like this, the risk is actually to turn the iceberg upside down. So what you can see in the second image happens that all the core elements and fundamentals are losing importance, and we're giving greater importance only to price. And in these conditions, the price war is guaranteed and the bottom line will be impacted no matter what. I've been working in revenue management for 16 years now, and I can say that revenue management as we knew it pre-pandemic right now is not enough. So we need to evolve, we need to change. And the revolution, the change comes from acknowledgement, comes from understanding that some things have evolved, have changed, and we need to change with them. Segmentation, as we knew it before, is changing. The segments are evolving. Our customer needs are changing, are adapting. We need to focus not just on the top line, but on top line and profitability, which is something we were already started to talk in the past, but now more than ever. We need to break down the silos, finally. We cannot just work on our only discipline, but we need to collaborate in teams and work together as a team, as a unique brain, in order to bring our strategy move forward. Also to understand demand, because we need to tap into different kind of data. We cannot just rely on our internal data anymore. And to understand the demand, we need to embrace technology. Also, technology is put under probation in this time, but technology can really enhance us. So the cooperation between man and machine becomes now stronger than ever. And last but not least is the leadership. So being a leader, stepping out from behind your computer and communicate is very important in order to get everybody on board and drive the right strategy. So when I talked about segmentation evolution, segmentation is the basis of revenue management, is the basis of how we determine the demand and work on our demand. To fully understand our customer base, we have to know where they engage on and offline. And as such, even if now we cannot rely on a lot of segmentation, still we need to deep dive on the little segments that are traveling. It may be just one or two, but on those one or two segments, we need to go granular and work together in conjunction with marketing, digital, in order to understand what are the targets for each segment. So create a different ramification of the same segmentation in the traditional way that we knew it, working together as a team in order to define specific targets that we may want to tackle. We need marketing, we need digital distribution, sales, finance in order to get to understand the profitability of each segment and determine the right strategy to create value to the customer. So cooperation is the first word, but we need also to do one step forward on the revenue management side. And it's not just about selling rooms anymore. It has never been actually, but now more than ever, selling rooms is not enough. So a first switching mentality that we have to do is that the hotel is a full asset. When I say that the hotel is a full asset, it means that every service, every space that we have available at the hotel is an opportunity to drive extra and ancillary revenue. But it's not so simple as it seems. So we are all talking about staycation, day use, or converting rooms into office spaces. We have to be careful on the choices we made and switch our analytical thinking into a creative one, again, working together in order to understand, are really these kind of offerings targeting, correctly giving value to our customers base. As the risk that I see is that we might become ineffective in the way to sell. So presenting the customer with too many options or to standardize. So in my view, there's still a road to do, and the road to get to a real retail selling approach in our hotels is underway, but it's starting now. We have to start thinking at the guest like having two wallets. The first wallet is for the purchase of the travel, so everything that is related to flight, hotel, and whatsoever. And the second wallet is the spend that the guest will be doing on property. If we start thinking that way, then we realize that we have many opportunities to work on selling our hotel like it was a real retail product with many opportunities to upsell or sell ancillary services. But again, we need to analyze and go deep into the granularity of the single segments and then targets with the help of all the commercial functions on property. So again, cooperation comes into place. And breaking down the silos is something we have been talking about for years. I've been working in revenue management for 16 years, I've said, out of that 13 were in chains. And the biggest problem of breaking down the silos that I always saw was that each department had different goals. So revenue had to drive RevPAR, digital had to drive direct bookings, and so on and so forth. In order to break down the silos finally and move all towards the same direction, we need again to switch our mentality toward one common goal. That has to be simply profitability. If we are all focusing towards profitability, we can work together as a team, really put together all our different minds and move towards the same direction in order to survive and then thrive. And this is the best way to cope with uncertainty, as we need to work as a team also to understand demand to be profitable. We define the world we are living in a VUCA world, meaning volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. So there is so much complexity out there, it's very difficult to forecast what is going to happen next. So that means that we cannot rely on our internal data anymore. It's not enough. So looking as revenue managers only at our own data is not sufficient. We need to get out of our comfort zone and look at different sources like flights, data from partners, searches, travel sentiment, conversions, analytics. So here we are mixing all different KPIs coming from all the different disciplines. We are really becoming transversal ninjas, I call it, meaning we need to have hands-on all the different functions and understand data coming from the different departments. And also we need to be human. Humanity, technology is recurring during these presentations also from my colleagues, but let's talk with each other, and we need to talk also to the operations. So again, stop hiding behind our computers, get out, talk to the front office, the reservation team, and understand what are the customers saying on the phone or when they are checking in, what are their needs, what they're looking for. because this is going to help us to drive conversion when we analyze and understand what are the new customer needs. And new KPIs. So I already said that we need to move a little bit from REFA, which is still our main KPI, but now we need to look at profitability more than ever. So new KPIs are getting importance. GOP par, profit per available room, or revenue per available guest, which is a great index if we want to compare the extra spend occurring now compared to the past, no matter what the occupancy was. Total revenue per available guest. So there are opportunities to work, to drive, to optimize. Also constraint capacity. As we said that before, there's this issue that hotels are not running with full inventory right now. But still, even if we are running with 50% of our inventory and there's little demand out there, why shouldn't we capitalize on that? Why do we have to leave money on the table? And let's ask for the help of technology. Because it's true, the demand is very complicated, but do we really think that if we cannot understand the demand as it is, we can still do better than technology? I don't think so. And revenue management system is our main tool, right? We all use it. All the revenue management systems have been adapted to cope with these uncertainties and are now changing these algorithms in order to rely on real-time data rather than historical data. So we need to fuel technology, work in collaboration with the machine. We have to give the right information to the system, and for example, if you are implementing a changing strategy, let's tell the system that we are expecting a change in this kind of segment or in this kind of geosource, because this is a collaboration that has to continue and that will help in the future when we will rebound. When I'm talking about technology, it's not just revenue management systems. So another step that we have to do is use all those pieces of technology that we have available on property. CRM, chatbots, digital analytics, they are all giving useful data and information that we need to leverage and include in our assumptions, in our analysis. I know it's a lot to take. We might be overwhelmed by all this technology and all these information that we have, but we are masters of data. And we need to have hands on everything. And above all, the capacity to interpret this data, translate it in simple words, and share it with the team. We have to walk the data and we have to walk the talk. So hands on everything, understand the data, translate, communicate, and get everybody at the team on board, engaged, and move towards the same direction. Really transversal ninja. And it's an important step that we have to do also, because from this contamination of ideas coming from different functions at your hotel, not just revenue management, not just sales, not just marketing, come out the best ideas in order to thrive and explore new ways of doing things. So 2020 for me, it's actually been the perfect storm, because it's just accelerating a process, an evolution in revenue management that was just underway. There is actually, so I'm just here debunking some myths that we started to learn on the first slide. There actually is demand to drive. There is little demand, but we can still manage, optimize it, even on the effective capacity of our hotel. We don't want to leave any money on the table. We must learn to cope with external data. Look at data that we were not used to look so much in the past because we didn't need to. And we need to embrace technology, change, and work in cooperation with the tech in order to fuel the machine, and that will help us also in the future. Work together as a team and create great value for our customers. Because if we are able to go granular in our segmentation, targeted demand analysis, then we can create value. And when there is value, we don't give up on pricing. We don't end up discounting. This is great for our top line, but also the bottom line. So with the final goal always of having profitability. So I'm citing here one good point that to end up, Bonnie Bookkister mentioned, and she described the evolution of revenue management throughout the years. And I am old enough to tell you that I've been through all these generations. So the first generation of revenue, where the reservation people uplifted to revenue manager, were actually not doing much than loading rates and systems. The second generation were the tacticians, so Excel nerds, I would say, Excel addicted, the first one that were working on extranet driving revenue. A lot of us are still there, but before COVID, we were already on generation 3, the strategy, the increased importance of the revenue management role in the hierarchy, the shift towards total revenue and profitability and convergence with the other disciplines. So the pandemic has just accelerated the shift from generation 3 to what I call now the rise of the commercial leader, which is the silver linings in our evolution. The commercial leader is a person, the new revenue management function, which is cross-functional, hands-on everything. It doesn't have to be expert on all the disciplines, but it has to be general knowledge of anything, has to be master of data, interpret the data, communicate, has a long-term strategy and vision. It's not just managing the last-minute demand. Anything that we do today, the decisions we made are gonna impact in the future. It's a great leader, communicate, focuses on total revenue and profitability. And one of my favorites above all, it's a pioneer. Right now, it's a time to explore, do things different, develop our critical thinking. This is the way we really evolve and change in our roles. So if we follow this path and we move naturally towards the evolution, we see that our original iceberg gets much richer. As we see in the bottom underwater, that now we have more core elements, more fundamentals that do not necessarily belong to revenue management, but they belong to marketing, digital, finance, sales. And if we put all this together, then the pricing decisions that we made will be characterized by more awareness and more effective. So to end up, our mythos might change. We must go out of the comfort zone, but we're still determined to drive revenue and profits to our hotel. And we have to look forward to a future that is bright, and it will come. It will surely come. We just need to evolve, pivot when needed, change and thrive. This is our natural revolution, and this is the right time to do it. Many thanks.
Brilliant, Silvia. Thanks a lot. The topic is interesting for me, especially for me as revenue manager. And I think it was really, really interesting for the past, for the future, for everything about revenue management. I have just a few questions. We have just two minutes. What do you think about the, when must revenue grow into a full commercial role? How could it function better than now, in your opinion?
It's, as I said, it's a natural evolution. So it functions better than now because right now we are still silos. We are still linked to the silos. We tend to work a lot on our discipline, not cooperating a lot with the other ones. But actually, we have so much data available and we need to rely and leverage all this kind of data. And only through contamination of ideas with digital marketing, sales, finance, we can find our natural evolution in the future. We cannot work like we did 10 years ago or even 2019 probably.
Perfect, thanks a lot. Just the last question shortly. When it comes to pricing decision, with this evolution, do you expect in the future a different approach driven by a stronger influence of the contamination of roles?
Yes, in the sense that we are probably going to take, we'll probably have more awareness if we work together, if we include more KPIs in our assumptions. So definitely our pricing decision will be positively inflated by that, and we won't give up on value, which is the most important thing right now.